Hello everyone and welcome back to the video. Today we're going to be going ahead and first try recording a video talking about the current top 10 best AoE2 players on the planet. And I'm going to go ahead and include myself in this list just because I personally think I can be objective about myself. I don't really need to, hide it or fake humble. We can just talk about myself. It's going to be based on the criteria as you can see on the screen, guys. I thought long and hard about this list. I even took my time to do some research, and I have a pretty solid criteria. Of course, at the end of the day, though, this is just my opinion. I don't mean to offend anyone or to make any drama. This is genuinely what I believe to be the best 10 players in Age of Empires 2 currently, and who I think are the most dangerous in tournaments. So my criteria. The first criteria is turn performance in the past year. Very important. If you want to be the current best player, you got to prove it in the last year. So that's going to be the highest criteria by far. The next criteria on the list is turn performance since DE came out. So in the past 3 years. Also important just because if you did achieve a good result in the past 2 or 3 years, it means that you have a very solid shape and you can easily get back into the top discussion. And I think that those tournaments are still quite relative because, sorry, not relative, quite relevant because, it was very competitive. We had some very competitive tournaments in the last few years. Anything before DE will be discarded. And then after that, it's going to be consistency, both on, show matches, A-tier tournaments, B-tier tournaments, and just in general when it comes to like qualifying for events and where they place in the S-tier events. That is where consistency takes place. Just how good are they all the time, not just one best performance, but just in general, how good are they, how often are they getting to these top spots in tournaments, etc. And then after his peak performance, basically what this means is whether they've won an S-tier tournament or not. It's a very big thing to win an S-tier tournament. Not a lot of players have managed this, so I consider it pretty high in my criteria as well. And then the fifth one is my personal feel of their skill level. This one's the most subjective by far because, at the end of the day, you cannot measure this, but I personally feel like it does have, especially since it's my list, it does have some relevancy into the criteria, and this would be like the deciding factor between like a spot or two, just how I feel, how strong I feel they are. So anyways, guys, without so the most subjective is my feel of the skill level, and I'm doing it with my chat right now on stream, so that's really cool. If you guys want to check me out on Twitch, guys, link in the description below. I'm talking to the YouTube audience right now. We love you guys, and we want to see more people joining the Twitch stream, so be sure to hop in. Guys in the Twitch chat, show them some love. Say hello to YouTube, spam some emotes, whatever you want to do. Show the YouTube guys some love. Let's hop into it. Top 10 best AoE2 players currently. Let's go ahead and start with number 10 rather on the list. And that is going to be MBL. MBL, in my opinion, highly deserving of the top 10 spot just because of how consistent he is with his results. He doesn't always get high up in tournaments, but he's always doing pretty good in tournaments, and he's never really like failing to qualify. He's never really losing first round. He's always a threat, even coming in with less preparation than the rest. He still manages to do quite well. So I think MBL, top 10. I'm pretty confident with it. He's always a threat to, to everyone's tournament success. And in my opinion, especially scoring recently with the top 8 in the last Red Bull tournament, pretty good situation for MBL all around. So for me, quite solid there at number 10. Next up is going to be Doubt. I will talk about Doubt a little bit. I think Doubt, unfortunately, dropped a lot of spots on my list. The last Red Bull was a pretty big hit to his tournament performances. He lost in the first round, which I'm sure he's not going to be too happy of me mentioning it right now. I'm sorry, man, but it is a pretty big hit to him. I had him at number 5. Like if I did this last year, Doubt would be my number 5. But right now, I think his last year performance was just not that impressive. But he's still high up on the list because A, I think he's a very solid and very smart player, and B, I do think that he has the ability to continue to perform if he's given it like the right, if he gets the right preparation in. And he also won an S-tier tournament not too long ago, so like a year ago I think, or a couple years ago with Red Bull 3. So Doubt's clearly proved himself quite recently and is always a threat in every tournament. He also got second place in God, what tournament is it? I just checked it. Was it Wandering Warriors Cup? He got top 2 in a recent tournament this year, S-tier tournament. So, Doubt definitely up there. I think it was Wandering Warriors Cup, yeah, the Nomad one. So, Doubt, some solid results recently, but nothing too crazy, and had some pretty good results since DE came out, up at number 9. After that is going to be Jordan. Now, Jordan has some really solid results up his sleeve. I believe he got top 4 in Resurgence. He got top 4 in Red Bull World 5, so the one, not this one that just passed, the one last year in the Castle. And this year in the Castle, he got top 8, so quarterfinals, but he lost to the champion 3-2 Tato. And so, in my opinion, Jordan, and as well as many more solid results lately, he's had a good year, and he's got a very consistent, tournament performances since he came back in Hidden Cup 3, where he scored a finals, so a second place. In Hidden Cup 4, where he scored a second place. Since then, he's been pretty solid with his tournament results, and in my opinion, always a very dangerous player in tournaments and always a well-prepared one. So Jordan, top 8 for me, makes sense. And you can go ahead and take a look at number 7 now. That is Velez, one of the guys that, in my opinion, really made a name for himself in the last year or so, maybe in the last 2 years. He's had some amazing results in Red Bull. I think in Red Bull World 4, I think he beat Viper in semifinals, or in a recent, in Red Bull World 4, I think he beat Viper in the semifinals or in the quarterfinals. And then he also beat Viper in a recent tournament. I think in T90 Titan League he beat Viper, and he secured a second place in that one. And in the recent Red Bull, so in the Castle one, the one that just happened, he also got top 4 there. So Velez definitely with some really solid performances in the last year, and has good results since the E came out as well, but really made a name for himself, in my opinion, in the last year. Very solid stuff. Number 7 it is. And then number 6, I know I'm all over the place with the script, guys. That's when you know it's like, off the top. It's not prepared, it's not reading, but what I did prepare is the list, and here it is. Number 6, we've got Vinchester. Vinchester, incredibly solid, has really, really solid results. He also won an S tier tournament, which is, obviously a massive achievement for him, and that was in the last year. He also got second place in King of the Desert 4, which was just at the end of 2021. Very relevant still. So Vinchester, very dangerous player, very strong player, and in my opinion, has the chance to break the top 5 very soon. So he's at number 6 now, but he easily has a chance to break the top 5 if he just continues with his form and continues, to do what he's been doing in the past a little bit. So well played to Vinchester there. What S tier did he win? He won T90 Titan League S tier tournament, so very solid. All right, before I show you guys my top 5, though, I'm sure that's the moment you guys have all been waiting for. Before that, we're going to take a look at some honorable mentions here, guys, that didn't make my list, but were very close to making it. Nikov, right there with, like, MBL Doubts. He's easily, you can make a discussion, an argument to make Nikov in the top 10. He's right there, and I honestly feel like he's a bit unlucky because he missed out on the last Red Bull tournament, the one that just finished, Red Bull World 6. Due to having COVID, but he did qualify with flying colors. He was easily into the tournament, and then just had COVID last minute. And had he done well on that tournament, he could have easily found himself top 10 on this list, no problem. He's right there, though. Dogao as well, very solid player. Always in the discussion for every tournament. He had some pretty solid results since DE came out, and he's always in the top 16 in my opinion, but not quite in the top 10 yet. ACCM, another player that's almost cracking the top 10. I think he's very close. Just needs maybe a couple more solid results. I took a look at ACCM's tournament results, and they all seem to be, 9 to 12, top 16 results. And yeah, I think that ACCM is just someone who is close to the top 10, always dangerous, but not quite there. And then Kapoch, I think he's probably the furthest from the top 10 from all these guys. But I wanted to mention him just because I think that he's got a very aggressive style, and that he always seems to do pretty well in every tournament he plays in. He's always, getting some upsets or making something happen. He's always a dangerous player to go up against. So, yeah, definitely very solid there for Kapoch. And that's it for the honorable mentions. We're going to move on to my top 5 best players currently on the planet. Taking a look first at, hold on, I made it bigger for some reason, at Tato, number 5. Heavily influenced by the fact that he just won the last S tier, but honestly, it makes sense. Like, Tato was probably top 8 on my list if I did this a year ago. But lately, he's really stepped it up. He got finals in RMS Cup 2. Yeah, he got smashed by Mr. Yo in the finals, but it happens. He still had a good result there. And then, obviously, winning this S tier tournament just is absolutely massive for Tato. And in my opinion, he is easily the top 5 right now. I don't think you can really argue him top 5. You can even argue him maybe a little higher if you want to. But for me, I felt comfortable at number 5. Up next at number 4, we've got myself. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be arguing, putting myself higher than Mr. Yo, for example. Spoiler alert, Mr. Yo is on this list. But I just personally think that I had a rocky 2022. I think I've had a good amount of tournament performances. Like I had a good couple years when DE came out, but 2022 has been a pretty shaky year for me. I got semifinals in RMS Cup 2, semifinals in T90 Titan League, and semifinals in the Red Bull that just happened. So I got 3 good performances back to back, but I just personally don't think that pushes me anything higher than top 4 right now. And this is literally just me being as objective as possible. I'm not downplaying myself. I'm not trying to push myself higher. I think that top 4 makes sense for me. I've got 3 semifinals in a row pretty much, but nothing higher, nothing lower. So kind of hard to place me any higher than 4 and any lower than 4. Moving on to the next one though, we have got Mr. Yo. And the reason why Mr. Yo is higher, despite me beating him in Red Bull, is just because he's got a better year than me. He 5-0'd Tato in RMS Cup 2, which was absolutely ridiculous. Like one of the craziest performances I've ever seen, honestly. And that was obviously an S tier tournament. And he also won another S tier, I think this year, if I remember correctly, or he was in second place in another S tier, something like that. He had a very solid year, and he got quarterfinals in the last Red Bull, so he's definitely up there with his results. Yeah, and the Resurgence, he won the Resurgence. So he won Resurgence, and he won not T9 Titan League. He won Resurgence, and now I forgot the other one, an RBS Cup. So he won 2 S tiers in 2022. Absolutely ridiculous. Great performances from him. And like I said, just as well, since the E, he's had very solid performances. He won a Red Bull as well, so he's up there. Number 3. Number 2, we've got Huang. No, I'm just kidding. We've got Leary at number 2. Definitely deserving of the number 2 spot, in my opinion. He's always a dangerous player. And in my opinion, you can easily argue Mr. Yo above Leary. Leary even first place. You can easily argue all of these things. But for me, it makes sense that Leary is top 2 right now. I think that having him, him having got second place in the last Red Bull, he's always getting a good result in every tournament he's playing. And he also won 2 Red Bulls beforehand. He won a KOTD in the past few years, so he's always up there, and he's also got a few S tiers to his name. So Leary for me, number 2, and number 1 at this point it's no secret. It's Viper at number 1, and I still think Viper deserves the number 1 spot despite getting top 8 in the last Red Bull, just because he also won an S tier tournament this year, and he in KOTD that is, and he's always going to be a very strong competitor for any tournament happening. So. He's still in top shape, and he's still doing really well for his tournaments. And since DE came out, he probably has the best record out of everyone. So, yeah, I think Viper easily still top 1. And yeah, although Empire Wars isn't everything, I see the comment in the chat. Empire Wars isn't everything, but it's been a really big part of the last couple of years, so I have to count it pretty high. But yeah, Viper's still number 1. Despite, like I said, not the craziest performance in Red Bull World 6, only top 8s, but only, for his standards, it's not the best, but it's still very solid. But like I said, he still has a very good result. And yeah, that's going to do it for this video. I think for, going forward, I can see myself doing an updated version of this video probably in a few months. I want to just clarify that this list is subject to change. Like if suddenly MBL wins the next 3 S tiers in a row, MBL can easily take number 3, number 2, and number 1 away from Viper. Like just because you're a big name, just because you've been doing well for years, doesn't mean you're gonna earn or continue to hold that top spot. You have to constantly earn it, and in my opinion, it's actually very volatile right now. The scene is constantly changing. Players are stepping up. Everyone's coming prepared, and it's a really exciting time for Age of Empires, especially at the top level. So. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed. Say bye YouTube in the chat if you guys are, if you guys want to, I guess, in the Twitch chat. And if you guys are on YouTube, make sure to drop a comment. Let me know if you agreed with my list. Let me know if you disagree. And let me know what you'd want to change around. And also let me know if you agree with my criteria as well. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Take care. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.